Let's talk about sleep and how poor sleep can actually affect our health, especially if you're over the age of 40 and especially if you are a woman hitting the perimenopause and menopause stage of your life. And in today's video, I want to talk about how sleep can affect us and what we can do to try and help ourselves to get a better night's sleep. So if you don't know me, my name is Rachel, a fitness enthusiast, well-being enthusiast, and I just love everything about it. I'm also qualified fitness instructor and dance teacher, and I love sharing my workouts and I love sharing informational videos with you so you can not only have a healthier body but you know the reasons why behind it. And in today's video we are talking all about sleep. So as we get older, we actually need to sleep a lot more because our body needs to recover more, especially if we're in the perimenopause and menopause stage of our life. Our bodies and our hormones are becoming very erratic. There's a lot of changes, there's a lot of hormone shifts. And just like if you were poorly and you had the flu, you would need to get as much sleep as possible because sleep is the best medicine because it makes you better. And it's the same when you're going through the perimenopause and menopause stage of your life. But in general, especially over the age of 40, getting good sleep is going to help your body and your brain so much better. So let's get into how poor sleep can affect us. So a lot of us have said this before, that we feel wired and exhausted, and that all has something to do with our sleep and the effect it has on our brain and our mental health. So having less sleep can give us a brain fog and forgetfulness, which is a very common symptom in perimenopause and menopause anyway, but the lack of sleep can actually make it a lot worse. You'll have poor concentration and poor focus. No matter how hard you try, you just feel like you can't concentrate and you can't focus. Now, like me, I don't sleep very well. Sleep is the one thing that I really need to work on, and it is a goal of mine over the next month or two to start putting things in place to sleep better. But sometimes if I am reading, especially if I'm studying or I'm reading an important document, at the moment I've got lots of documents coming my way, I feel that sometimes I'm reading it and I'm falling asleep as I'm reading it because I'm so exhausted from lack of sleep. So it can affect our concentration and our focus. It can also give us increased anxiety and feel more overwhelmed. Even in the basic of situations, we can just feel more anxiety and that there's too much noise, too much stimulation, and feel too much overwhelm with just everyday life because we're exhausted. We may have a lower mood, we may have more depressive symptoms, we might feel a bit more irritable and emotionally sensitive. And women feel irritable and emotionally sensitive at least once a month. But with lack of sleep, it can make it bigger. It can make it feel even more so. And it might just be throughout the entire month that you're constantly feeling irritable and you're constantly feeling like you're very emotional sensitive. Whether that is snapping back at people, bursting into tears, you're just emotionally sensitive as a person. Now, let me know what kind of person you are when you're irritable or emotionally sensitive. Are you someone that breaks down and cry, walk away from everything, or do you snap back? I snap a little bit and I have to apologize for my actions, but most of the time I just try and walk away because I know that I'm just not feeling my best. I'm not feeling 100%. But let me know what you do in the comment box below. And not only that, having poor sleep and affects our brain and our mental health will also affect our stress hormone cortisol and make it much higher. And when we have high cortisol levels, lots of things go wrong, including having extra belly fat and all those things that is actually caused by stress. And that has an impact on our brain and our mental health, but also has a massive impact in our bodies as well. So sleep can have a huge impact on our brain and our mental health. And how many of those symptoms have I just said that you can relate to? Let's talk about weight gain and weight management and how poor sleep can actually make us gain weight and have worse weight management. Now, with lack of sleep, we can feel more hungry. Our cravings for sugar and processed food get higher. Because we're tired, we want to have that energy fix. So we go for the quickest energy fix we can find, which is usually ultra processed food, sweets, chocolate, all those things that are not good for us, where if we actually had some fruit, it'll be a lower release of the sugars that's in that, which will keep us not wanting to crave more. Whereas the processed food, after we've had a handful, our sugar levels spike but then come down just as quick, and then we're hungry again, and then we reach for the same food over and over again, which then puts us in the calorie surplus, which means we're eating more calories than we're burning, and then we are gaining weight. So a lack of sleep can actually make you crave more sugar and more processed food, which will ultimately make you gain weight. So our two hunger hormones are ghrelin, which is the hormone that makes us hungry, and leptin, which is the hormone that tells us when we're full. And when we're having lack of sleep, our ghrelin hormone actually makes us feel more hungry because we're tired and we're lacking that sleep. It can also slow our metabolism down because obviously we've got the stress hormone cortisol, which we spoke about earlier. And having that stress levels increases our belly fat as well, which also is something to do with our weight management and having weight gain. But it can also slow down our metabolism as well because we're stressed and we're tired and we're not eating very healthy food. And finally, it can also make fat loss a lot harder to do. Even if you're eating healthy, having that lack of sleep, craving those processed food, increasing your hormone cortisol, which is our stress hormone, can actually make fat loss a lot harder. The more our body is calmer, then the easier fat loss actually is. Now, if you are a woman over the age of 40, hitting the perimenopause and menopause stage of your life, our lack of sleep can also affect our hormone health. But having a lack of sleep can actually affect our hormone health. Now, during the perimenopause and menopause stage of our life, sleep is actually one thing that we lack of because we just can't seem to get to sleep with anxiety and stress and everything else. But if we can try and get our sleep fixed, if we can try and make sure we're having a good night's sleep, most nights, you can't have a good night's sleep every night. There will be nights where you won't, but majority of the week, you're having a good night's sleep. That is actually going to have a huge impact on our hormone health and make it so much better. With a lack of sleep, it has the opposite effect on us and more of a negative impact on us. So the next few symptoms that I'm going to say is normal things that happen during the perimenopause and menopause stage of our life. However, if you can have good sleep, you will minimize these. They won't feel as bad. They won't feel as strong. However, if you have lack of sleep, they're going to feel worse. So get some sleep. And I'm with you. I need to work on my sleep too. So a few things that can actually increase the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause with our hormone health, with lack of sleep, include hot flushes and night sweats, low libido, mood swings, fatigue, irregular periods, and just our hormonal imbalance symptoms can just get a lot worse with lack of sleep. So if we're going to experience those symptoms anyway, we don't want to experience them to their full effect. We don't want them to get worse. We want to keep them as at bay and as easy as we possibly can. And one way of doing that is to make sure that you're getting a good night's sleep. And like I said before, in the brain and mental health symptom of what lack of sleep can do, our cortisol levels increase, which affects our stress hormones, which can affect our weight. And also it has an impact on our insulin, which is the hormone that gives us energy. So having a lack of sleep can have a huge impact on our insulin and cortisol levels, which then obviously makes us have less energy, we're craving the foods, and we're going to gain weight with the cortisol levels as well. So more sleep, less stress, better feeling in your body. Let's talk more about the energy and physical health that a lack of sleep can have an effect on. So these symptoms can include constantly feeling fatigue. No matter what you do, you're always feeling fatigue. You don't have any motivation to do anything anymore. Your motivation has gone completely out the window and ran away, and you just can't chase it because you have no energy because your insulin levels have dropped. So it has a massive effect on our fatigue, and it can also lower our motivation to get up and do anything. If you work out and you exercise just like I do, there's plenty of workout videos on my channel for you to go and do some if you want to start exercising. By having a lack of sleep can actually reduce the recovery from that exercise. So I don't know about you, I'm one of those people that when I feel my muscles aching the next day, I felt like I've had a really good workout. But if you have lack of sleep, that ache and pain of those muscles actually lasts longer than they should do. Your recovery time isn't as quick because you're not sleeping enough to give it a chance to recover. So if you do work out and you do exercise and you're feeling sore for 3-4 days afterwards, it could be because you've got lack of sleep. But in general, you'll just feel more aches and pains. We feel more aches and pains as we get older anyway, but the lack of sleep makes it feel worse. So by getting a good night's sleep on a comfortable bed will actually help you have less aches and pains in your body. It can also give us really bad headaches and migraines. Obviously, we all know that sometimes we get those headaches because I feel like it's a tired headache and I just need to get some more sleep. So it can give us more headaches, give us more migraines. It can also weaken our immune system. So especially if we're going into the winter months and there's a lot more colds and flus going around, especially if you've got kids and they're at preschool or school and they're around other kids that are sick as well, then they're going to pick up the germs and they can bring it to you. And if your immune system is much weaker through lack of sleep, you're more than likely going to catch a cold, you're going to catch the flu, and you're going to have to keep going anyway because that's what us mums do. But it's actually going to have a bigger impact on your life and a bigger impact over everything we've already talked about. And finally, when it comes to our energy and our physical health, actually lack of sleep can increase inflammation. I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel quite puffy in my face. I feel more bloated around my stomach. I feel bigger in my legs sometimes. And I've always put it down to the Mother Nature coming to visit me once a month, but lately it feels like I'm inflamed when I shouldn't be, and I'm realizing more and more that that is because of lack of sleep and I'm feeling more puffy. So by trying to get some better sleep and trying to calm your evening down a little bit better so it's stress-free, you're going to actually decrease your inflammation. It won't completely get rid of it. There's lots of things you can do for inflammation. If you want me to do a video on it, then do let me know in the comment box below because I would love to do that for you. But it will definitely help decrease your inflammation that you have if you've been feeling puffy or bloated or anything like that. When we hit the over 40 mark, in men and women, especially women going towards the perimenopause and menopause stage of our life, it just naturally takes us longer to recover from things anyway. And getting a good night's sleep is going to help speed that recovery up. So this is a big one for me, because I think this is one of the important things, how a lack of sleep can actually affect your heart health. Now, I was watching something the other day on sleep, and they were saying that people that are very healthy, go to the gym, but have really bad sleep, sometimes can have an increase of 20 to 30% of having cardiovascular disease because they are lacking in sleep and not giving their body time to recover. Now, this was just something I watched. I don't know the studies on it. I don't know if it's true, but it was very interesting and something that I will look deeper into, because you can see these things online. You can see these things on like Netflix documentaries or anything like that. But unless you actually see the study, you don't know what's true. But it was just something that came across on my social media. And I don't know if it's true or not, but if you want to do your own research into that, then do go and have a look. But I thought it was really interesting that even if you are fit and healthy and do everything else right, but your sleep's bad, how that can have a huge impact on your heart health. So having 6 hours or less sleep per night can have a huge increase in health risks, especially to do with our heart health. Now, this has a lot of different factors involved in it. It's not just sleep that does this. There's lots of factors involved. And some things that can contribute to our heart health due to lack of sleep can be high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, or even stroke. So just for our heart, it is so important that we get a good night's sleep. Let's talk about skin and aging. Now, we all age, and a lot of people try and fix it with plastic surgery and Botox and all that. I want to age gracefully. So I'm very fortunate that I'm nearly 43 and I'm still here on this planet, and I want to age gracefully. I do look after my skin and I do drink a lot of water, which obviously does help with my skin and aging. However, my lack of sleep could actually be making that worse. So by having less sleep can actually affect our skin and how we age. And this can be having just dull skin and dark circles around the eyes. Now, I have these dark circles. They are actually getting much better, but they can get very, very dark sometimes. Your skin can age faster due to lack of sleep. You may feel more puffy in your face. And finally, it can actually reduce our collagen production. Now, I take collagen every day anyway, but it can actually have effect on our bodies naturally producing collagen. So by having lack of sleep can actually reduce that. So if you're not taking collagen, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to. Your body produces it. You can have foods that have got collagen in it as well. But I do take a collagen powder. However, lack of sleep can actually reduce that production in your own body. Our body repairs itself during sleep and rest. So the reason why your body may ache more, the reason why you may age more, your skin may feel quite dark or dark circles in the face is because you are lacking in sleep. So let's talk next about our muscles and our strength and how a lack of sleep can actually impact those things. Like I said before, if we work out and we've worked hard and we ache the next day and we're aching for 3 or 4 days after, it's because our body's not getting enough time to recover, and sleep is the one thing it needs to be able to repair and restore our muscles after we've trained them. So it's good for muscle recovery, but it's also great for maintaining the strength that you've built. If you are a woman over the age of 40, our muscles naturally decrease with lean muscle mass. So by doing strength training, which I've done another video on strength training, I'll link it in the description box below for you, will actually keep that lean muscle mass nice and firm, and it will keep it there for you. However, if you are then getting very little sleep in the evenings, but if you are not getting enough sleep, you're also going to be losing muscle because you're not sleeping enough. So poor sleep in muscles and strength can reduce the muscle recovery time, increase your injury risk because you're so tired you may not be paying attention, your muscles aren't recovering properly, so the risk of injury increases. And like I said earlier on in this video, it actually lowers your motivation to even get up and do anything. So with lack of motivation, you've probably got less chance of actually doing any kind of training because you're just too tired. And finally, even if you do be able to get up and get that workout in, it will feel so much harder to do because you don't have the energy to be able to put everything you've got into it. So poor sleep can have a huge effect on your muscle and your strength overall, especially for a woman over the age of 40 that needs to strength train to keep that lean muscle mass. And finally, the effect that sleep can have on our bodies, especially to do with our memory and our long-term brain health, actually increase our chance of having Alzheimer's disease later in life. Long-time sleep deprivation can lead to a cognitive decline in our brain, which leads to things like Alzheimer's. So you hear loads of people say you've got to get 8 hours to sleep a night, and they don't really always explain why. But I feel that hopefully with what I've said today, how important it is for the inside of our bodies and our brains to work correctly, to work in the best way they can, is to get better sleep. Now, I'm not going to end the video here and say, well, there we go and get some sleep. I'm going to help you a little bit with what you can do to start getting better sleep. So first of all, let's decide whether you are getting lack of sleep. Now you can track this. You can say, right, I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock. You can get a watch which tells you when you fall asleep and when you wake up. You can actually see how long you're going to sleep for. But if you don't have one of those, things that you can notice within yourself is an increased desire to have caffeine all day, every day, just to stay awake. Even if you are able to have a little nap in the afternoon, but you still feel tired afterwards, probably not getting enough sleep during the night. And because you've had a nap during the day, definitely not getting enough sleep in the night. You could be waking up early hours in the morning, 3, 4 a.m. on a regular basis. Your body's just naturally wanting to get up. It means you're just lacking the sleep. You haven't done a calm down routine before you've gone to bed. Your brain's probably still working and you wake up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You're craving ultra processed foods and sugars and the bad carbs that you don't want to have, just to give you energy, just to keep functioning throughout the day. You may feel more emotional around everything. And if you're not feeling more emotional, you may just be feeling more anxious more often than you usually are due to lack of sleep. And even if you have a whole day of resting and doing nothing and watching TV or just pottering around the house and doing things that you love to do, you could still feel exhausted by it at the end of the day. And not just your body, but your brain just feels exhausted. And finally, one thing that you will notice if you are lacking sleep or as a contributing factor is that you may be struggling to lose weight because you're not getting a good night's sleep. So what can you do to help yourself? Now, there's lots of things said online, and I've watched many videos on them, and they're all actually right. And some of the things I find very difficult to do, and other things I find very easy. So what I do, the things that I find easy to do, I focus on those, and the things that I lack, then I just do them as and when I can. The first thing is to get morning sunlight exposure. If you can, morning sunlight exposure is going to be the best thing. But if you've got a garden or something, or a little balcony that you can actually go and sit outside and get that morning sunlight, that's going to help as well. The next thing is to reduce your caffeine intake. Only drink coffee up until midday. Now, I only have 1 cup of coffee a day. It's very rare that I have 2, but I only have 1 cup of coffee in the morning with my breakfast. I always have it after my breakfast, but that's the only cup of coffee I have. Then I switch to herbal teas or water. So if you are someone that drinks a lot of coffee but lacking in sleep, either after midday you go to decaf or you just switch up to herbal teas and water. The next one is to have protein-rich meals, because protein will keep you satiated for longer. Make sure you've got enough fiber with it as well, and that will definitely keep you more satiated for a lot longer. And then therefore you won't be reaching for the ultra-processed food and the sugar cravings or anything else. You might feel a little bit extra hungry, but having enough protein in your diet in every single meal, then that is going to keep you satiated for longer. If you want to know why we should have protein, especially over the age of 40, then check out my video, which I'll link in the description box below for you. Next one is to have regular movement or even walking. So walking is one of the best things to do to lower our stress levels, great for our mental health and great for our bodies to keep moving. Now, if you don't like walking or you can't go out for a walk, try and find some kind of activity that you can do to keep you moving, whether that's yoga, Pilates, lifting a few weights in a chair if you're not able to stand up for long periods of time, not able to go for a full body workout. Maybe try and do some chair workouts. You can still do those, and then that will help you keep your body moving in some way. So having regular movement or even just going for a walk is actually going to help you lower your cortisol levels and help you get better sleep. Now we're starting to come into what to do before bedtime. So the first thing you can take is take a supplement called magnesium glycinate. Now, there are lots of different magnesiums that you can get. The magnesium glycinate one is the one that you want to take just before bed, because that's going to help you drift off to sleep naturally and put you in a nice relaxed state. So don't take it at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon because you might feel overly tired, but magnesium glycinate is going to be very, very good for you to get a good night's sleep. The next one is to lower your stress levels before bed. Now, if you are a bit of a hustler, everyone says lack of sleep, you don't need to go to sleep, you need to hustle. But we need sleep because I just said do all the things that can happen if you don't get a good night's sleep. So about 30 minutes to 40 minutes before bed, do something that's going to keep you nice and calm. It could just be a nice long hot bath, dry your hair, never go to bed with wet hair, and then slowly drift off to sleep. So, and I just touched on it, limit your scrolling before bed. So I now have this rule that once my son is in bed, I no longer look at any social media whatsoever. I put my phone down, I read a book or I play a game on the tablet, and I do watch a bit of Netflix, but it's usually just there in the background. But I don't actually scroll on social media and start comparing myself and start learning and start getting down that rabbit hole, because we go on there for 5 minutes and then 2 hours later we're still on there realizing we just lost 2 hours of our life just scrolling on social media. So I now have a rule that when my son goes to bed, I no longer look at social media. So social media is something that you tend to do before you go to bed. Try and find something else to do to limit that, so that you are not comparing yourself or going down a rabbit hole. And the final thing that will help you get some better sleep over the age of 40 is to have consistent sleep and wake times. So what time are you going to go to bed and what time are you going to set your alarm to wake up the following morning? If they're consistent, eventually your body will know, your system will know the routine of when it is time to go to sleep and when it is time to wake up. Every now and again, we're going to have a late night due to an event or something, or we're going to have a late morning because we've had the late night, or we just want to have a bit of a lazy morning. And that's all absolutely fine. It doesn't need to be so strict. But overall, if you have consistent sleep and wake times, that's going to help you get better sleep. Now, if you are over the age of 40, especially a woman over the age of 40 hitting the perimenopause and menopause stage of our life, strength training, lowering our blood sugar, strength training, blood sugar balance, and stress management, and our hormone health often improves when we get a good night's sleep. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know whether you need to work on your sleep or not, or whether you do get a good 8 hours sleep every single night and it's a non-negotiable. Let me know in the comments whether or not you are navigating motherhood and kids that don't want to go to sleep but also trying to get some sleep as well. Let me know if you get good night's sleep, and if you do, what's your routine? I would love to know. And if you tell us, then hopefully it will help someone else with their night routine as well, for them to get a good night's sleep. I hope that you have really enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. If you have, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos from me, and I will see you on the next video.